Welcome to Sports Bites. With your host, Chris Joseph. Are you a sports fanatic who loves the thrill of the game and the delicious food that accompanies it?
And then they had chicken fingers, exotic chicken fingers.
Join us as we dive into the world of sports and the delectable bites that make the experience even better. Whether you're in the stadium, tailgating, or watching from the comfort of your home. Get ready to satisfy your sports cravings with Chris Joseph on Sports Bites. Let's dig in.
And a good Saturday, everybody. My name is Chris Joseph. I'm the host of the Sports Bites podcast, and today is my first live stream podcast, part of the Dawgs Media Network. I'm working for the College Football Dogs, a new venture trying to branch out. The majority of our members are on the FWAA, the Football Writers of America. So just note, I'm going to have some votes in the upcoming football season, player awards, stuff like that. And I'm really looking forward to watching this thing grow. A lot of great people involved. They cover the whole gambit. We got guys like the Big Ten backers. Anything you want to know about the Big Ten, follow them. The Golden Boot Network, those guys do a great job. The college sports villains, great. There's a lot of talent across this whole thing, so we're really excited to be a part of it. And as all shows on the Dawgs Media Network, this show is brought to you by Dano's Seasoning. Yum, yum, get you some in Bones Coffee. I'm a coffee person, also a bourbon person, so I'm going to have a little... I'm recording this, so this podcast will actually go out on all my platforms. But if you're looking at the banners down below, you can kind of see all the socials for the air. On X, I'm on TikTok, YouTube. You can subscribe, follow, comment. I want this to be a great, experience. Now, for those who don't know, for those who haven't seen me before, I come from a background of doing sports radio out in Oklahoma. And my show was very caller-driven. So I've always enjoyed that kind of interaction. So please feel free to comment no matter where you're watching. I've seen, Twitter, X, everywhere you're going. Just send in comments. We'll communicate. We'll have a good time with it and all. But, first of all, I think there's some breaking news. He has been traded. That's right. He has been traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So now it's Justin Fields and Russ Wilson. Justin Fields now gone, but check this out. For a 6th-round pick. Maybe Pittsburgh thinks they can get some tutelage, from Russ Wilson, because Russ had a multifaceted game. He could run, he could throw, back in the day. Obviously, what they did, not very good. But this is breaking news that right now Justin Fields is being traded from the Chicago Bears to the Pittsburgh Steelers. This, of course, opens up room for the man you see right there, Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is now going to be the quarterback at Chicago. There's no way around it now. Unless, Eberflus and those guys like somebody else. But I don't see that happening. I don't see it happening. And maybe, Washington comes out and does something with a trade. I mean, they've got a bunch of picks that they could go and kind of trade around, show some people some things. But, I don't know. As a Commander fan, I was hoping maybe Caleb, but I think, they bring in a Drake May, a Jalen. I don't know. But this is huge breaking news. Justin Fields now gone from the Chicago Bears. Guys, what do you think about that? Is that a good move for Justin, to be able to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers to learn under Russ, Mike Tomlin, a guy who's never had a losing season as a head coach? We'll see. Caleb, now you go to Chicago. And we talked about this before with some people. Chicago is a town that I feel if you are successful, if you bring back the 85 Bears Super Bowl shuffle swagger of Jim McMahon, Mongo McMichaels, all those guys, you're set for life. I know people are like, oh, don't go there, Caleb, don't go there. But man, be a part of something great. bring back the Bears. I know there's some people out there, that are Packer fans are like, no, I don't want to see it. But it is interesting. I thought that they were going to stick with Fields, and with Caleb being a DC guy, now you have Cliff Kingsbury, the offensive coordinator at Washington. I thought maybe you would see, Caleb come to Washington. But he's not there. He has now gone on. We'll see what happens in the draft, though. But Justin Fields being traded, I mean, it's big news. It's big news. Big news of Justin Fields being traded. There's a lot happening in the free agency, the NFL free agency market, and that's part of what I'm going to do in the show today. I'm going to go over what I have as my free agency winners and losers. Now, this is a list that I've compiled that I feel are the winners and losers, and some reasons why. We're going to talk about some bracketology, some conference basketball play. I have a special news clip for you. It always brings back a special joy to my heart with the fact that there is St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. Some of you may know the news clip I'm talking about, but before we end, we're going to go down to Mobile, Alabama. Reports of a leprechaun. They're out there. But, yeah, we're going to get into a lot of stuff. I'm also, for those who don't know, the Sports Bites. I talk about sports and food. So let me give you, before we leave, too, a preview. If you have a chance to go to the Final Four, or if you're just in town in Phoenix and you're there for a Cardinals game, the State Farm Stadium, I'm going to tell you what you can find to eat at State Farm Stadium. Now, I have a question for the West Coast guys when we get there. So I want you to listen to what I'm talking about. Some of the places sound really good. Some of the places, there's no way in hell that I would go to a stadium and eat some of this stuff. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But let's get into my free agency winners and losers. We're going to start with the winners first. All right, free agency winners. You see the teams right there. Now, this is my opinion, and I picked a couple of guys as well. So the Green Bay Packers, and people may ask, why do you think you have them as a winner? Now, picking up Josh Jacobs, and I've told the story before. Josh, with me being from Oklahoma, I was extremely high on Josh Jacobs. I saw him as a Wildcat quarterback at Tulsa McLean in Oklahoma. There was just something about this kid because I used to do some writing, covering recruiting for the 247 network, and I never wanted to write an article unless I saw a kid up close. I wanted to see what kind of person he was. Did he argue with the refs? Did he argue with his teammates? And there was just always something about Josh Jacobs that stood out. And of course, everybody knows the story. Nobody recruited him. Alabama offers first, and then he kind of shut everything down. And at the time, there was a time when he was in high school. He was homeless. Him and his father living in a car. So a young man, and then he goes to Alabama and just does everything asked of him. But the Green Bay Packers now have Josh Jacobs. You get Xavier McKinney from the New York Giants. Huge. You save some cap room by getting rid of the guard, David Bakhtiari. I mean, nice. Re-signing Christian Welch at linebacker. Caleb Jones, Corey Ballantyne. You get A.J. Dillon re-signed. Now, you did lose your former first-round pick in Darnell Savage to the Jaguars. But, again, I just think overall, the Green Bay Packers, what they've done. Now, you talk about windows in the NFL. Joe Burrow, Cincinnati, is that window gone? Jordan Love, you go out, you beat the Cowboys, you play really well against San Francisco. Probably should have beat San Francisco. So it's kind of your window right now. You take advantage of it. It'll be interesting to see what Green Bay does in the draft. But I do want to say I think they are absolute winners so far in free agency. Now, guys, if you want to comment, tell me you think I'm crazy, please comment. We'll interact. I'll put them all up there because I want to interact with everybody. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on X, if you're watching on Facebook, wherever it is, let me know. We'll have a good time with it. So my next winner is the Houston Texans, all right? Houston, a team that I was absolutely wrong about with going into last year. I did not have high expectations for D'Amico Ryan as a first-year coach, C.J. Stroud as a first-year quarterback. They made me eat my words. And I'm one of those guys that if I'm wrong while I'm on air, I'm going to say, hey, I was wrong. They made a great run of the playoffs, the exciting team. A big thing for them, former Cincinnati Bengal, former Sooner. I'm a big Oklahoma guy. Running back Joe Mixon gets traded to the Houston Texans. Now you have a really solid back there with C.J. Stroud. The tight end Dalton Schultz was re-signed. A lot of one-year deals with Houston. Cornerback Chris Boyd, Eric Murray, Khalil Davis, the defensive tackle. They got Jeff Okudah from the Falcons, wide receiver Noah Brown. I think he's going to help C.J. Stroud in that wide receiving core of Nico Collins, John Mechie, and Robert Woods, right? I think they're going to do a really good job of trying to boost this offense back up. Now, again, it'll be interesting to see what they do in the draft. Are they going to go more defense because of DeMeco Ryans? But I like what the Texans have done. I think that the Texans are winners right now in free agency. And we haven't even got to, with what they did last year in the draft was amazing how they got CJ and got, Will Anderson. Just unbelievable. Smart moves by a very young organization. And I like what I saw from the Houston Texans. They're going to be a fun team to watch. Nico Collins was a guy, at Michigan. I didn't expect a whole lot from him coming into the NFL. He had a tremendous year last year. But also now Dalton Schultz, you bring in Joe Mixon, who's good at catching the ball out of the backfield, good running back, 1,000 yards. He's going to get you 10 touchdowns. And I think the Texans, are going to make some noise in that AFC South with a chance to possibly, win the South and keep on moving. The next team, the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I was very fortunate this year. My wife got tickets for me and her to go see the Atlanta Falcons and the Washington Commanders play. I'm a lifelong Washington fan. I go way back. Art Monk, the Fun Bunch, Gary Sanders, Joe Theismann, Riggo, all that. I'm a huge Washington fan. But we go to the Falcons, and it was just sad because there's so much talent on that team. People may be like, wait, what do you mean talent on that team? I think there is talent on the team because I think Bijan Robinson, and as much as I hate to say it as an Oklahoma person, giving credit to a Texas person, but Bijan Robinson has a chance to be a phenomenal back no matter where he is. I love what Bijan Robinson can do, what he brings to the table. Now you also have Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts was a vastly underutilized weapon for the Atlanta Falcons. And maybe that's something now that Raheem Morris, the new head coach for the Atlanta Falcons, is going to change. And you bring in Kirk Cousins. So you got Drake London, Darnell Mooney from the Bears, Rondell Moore from the Cardinals. You get him in, because they traded Desmond Ridder. And it's going to be really entertaining to watch the NFC South now. The Falcons, and you see my boy Baker up there, Tampa. That battle is going to be very interesting. Let me know in the comments who you think is going to win the NFC South. Is it going to be Tampa? Is it going to be Atlanta? Or is it going to be some other team? But I like what the Falcons have done, kind of setting themselves up to have a really good offense. They sputtered a lot of times, relying on Desmond Ridder to make plays, and he just couldn't make plays. Just couldn't make plays, and not enough targets for Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is a problem. He is a problem in the league, and you need to watch him. So I still have the Falcons as a winner. Now you look over, and I put down the Washington Commanders. Yes, they're my favorite team, but I'm going to tell you why I put the Commanders down. The Commanders went into this year in the free agency market with almost, I think it was like $110 million in cap room before they changed the cap to give them more money, and they've really done a lot. Now, the only thing I'm worried about is I go back to that era in Daniel Snyder when they got Bruce Smith, when they got Deion Sanders, and they started to get guys towards the end of their career. They were big names, but it was towards the end of their career, right? So I like watching. They get Marcus Mariota. I'm okay with that. I still am kind of confused about the getting rid of Sam Howell. I think Sam Howell was a serviceable quarterback, and I think if you got an offensive line with Terry McLaurin and some of those guys around, I think it's going to be really, really cool to watch what Washington can do. All right. Now you bring in Zach Ertz, Austin Eckler. Eckler and Ertz, those are guys that are they on the backside of their career. Now, obviously, with Gibson being gone from Washington, Eckler's going to be a really good back out of the backfield on third down. He can catch the ball. He can run. He can do a lot of things. Brian Robinson's going to be your number one back, your two down back. They got Bobby Wagner. Now, Bobby Wagner's a 33-year-old linebacker, and some people are kind of like, I don't know about Bob. But Bobby Wagner had 183 tackles last year for the Seattle Seahawks. He also had 11 tackles for loss, which led the team. So I think that brings in kind of like some veteran leadership because you've got some guys. I mean, we've all, if you watch NFL, you know about that defensive line. You still have Jonathan Allen. You know, you still have some really good players after they get rid of Chase Young and Montez Sweat. But they couldn't get enough pressure with those guys. And I think a lot of their problem was linebacker. You know, because if those guys were blocked up, people could run all over them. And they get Luvu from the Carolina Panthers and Jeremy Chin from the Panthers. So I think they're going to really spark up this defense. But on offense, I'm going to be interested to see what they do because I'm afraid of who they're going to pick in the draft. But we can get to that. But as far as what they've done, so they brought in from Dallas, too, Dan Quinn, now the head coach for the Commanders, brought in Deorance Armstrong, Tyler Biadasz, Nick Allegretti from Kansas City. He's got Super Bowl experience. It's good. I'm excited to see this, you know, and what Washington do. Because I think if they could have kept Sam Howell off his back, he could have made some plays. He showed some flashes. But you know what? Sam Howell gone. He's gone to the Seahawks. I wish you nothing but the best. Ron Rivera and that crew let you down. Now, my two players that I think are winners in this whole situation in free agency, I think Baker Mayfield won. There's a lot of people in this organization, there's a lot of people around the country that maybe aren't that into Baker Mayfield. Now, I tell people all the time, I preface this with saying, you know, I was one of the early guys that got to interview him when he came to Oklahoma. Always a great guy. His competitiveness, that chip on his shoulder. You know, some people don't like that he talks. Some people like that he talks. You know, he's the guy that has, you know, he's the guy that has the attitude that people, they say they wish that athletes were more real. And when he tries to be real, it's cocky, it's provided. You know, I always tell people, he's one of the guys, if he's on your team, you love him. If he's not, you hate him. And you're going to talk about him. But he bet on himself. Going through all he went through, going through everything he did. He bet on himself. Gets a $100 million contract. Now he's led two teams to the playoffs that people thought had no chance. That Cleveland Brown team, nobody thought they were going to be. They did. Tampa, cool. And I'm happy for the guy. I root for him just because I want to see him successful. I want to see him do well. Be healed up in the offseason. Have that shoulder heal up. I mean, I go back to watching that game against, you know, with him and Patrick Mahomes when they put up Madden-like, not just unreal numbers. But Baker Mayfield won betting on himself. And I'm happy for him. Go get that money, Bake. Just stay away from Washington. The other one, Derrick Henry. Man, what can you say? King Henry gets out of Tennessee, which Tennessee, to me, may be a sinking ship. They had a very, very small, very fleeting window in the NFL. And now you put Derrick Henry in Baltimore. Talk about a matchup in Baltimore that would be absolutely crazy to defend, especially if they do some RPO. And I always tell this story about Derrick Henry. So 2014 at the Sugar Bowl, it's after the kick six, Oklahoma and Alabama. That's when Trevor Knight had his game of a century. All right, had the game of his life. Oklahoma beats Alabama. We all remember that game. But I usually would go down to the sidelines at halftime, and so I'm down there at halftime, and I remember looking over to one of my cohorts, and I was like, "Man, they haven't given the ball to Derrick Henry that much. He was young." And T.J. Yeldon in that backfield. At that time, he throws a little swing pass to Derrick Henry. He cuts by the Oklahoma sideline. He runs past me, and I felt the wind suck by me. I've never experienced that in my time covering football. That was a large man moving very, very fast. Now, 30-year-old running back, how much tread does he have left on the tires, especially when he does? Oh, God, Chuck, yeah. A Lorenzo Neal. I miss the day of fullbacks, man. I totally miss the day of fullbacks. You look at that. Baltimore could use a Lorenzo Neal. Absolutely. I love fullback. 3 yards, hat somebody, let's go. But it's going to be interesting to see what Baltimore will do in this scheme with a Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry now. It's really, really going to be a lot of fun. I hope nothing but the best for him. I want to get up to Nashville. I live in Birmingham. I'm only like 3 hours away from Nashville. And, man, it's a big deal. Baltimore, you're almost a Super Bowl caliber team. You were there. You had the chance. But now you got somebody like Derrick Henry. Okay. It's good. It's good. Now, unfortunately, we got to talk about the losers, right? The losers are really having a hard time. If you look right there, such a sad state of affairs. The Carolina Panthers. You lost Jeremy Chin, Lauvu to Washington. You paid way too much for A-Shot Robinson, 3 years, $22.5 million. It was just crazy what they paid for him. They signed 2 guards, former Dolphin Robert Hunt and Seahawk Damian Lewis. Nothing really to give Bryce any weapons. Who's he going to go with? Chuba Hubbard? I mean, I don't see, Adam Thielen, Jonathan Mingo. I foresee another bad year up for the Carolina Panthers. I just don't feel like they've done anything to get any better. I don't see it. I don't feel it. Now, I'll say this. It makes me happy because I'm an NFC East fan. The New York Football Giants. You get rid of Saquon, but I think you fail because you let Saquon go to a interdivision team. And a team that likes to run the ball. I will be very interested. I'd be very interested to see what Saquon can do at Philadelphia. I know Kelsey's gone, but still that kind of run offense. Again, could it be something like a Lamar? Now, I think Lamar is a lot faster than Jalen, but Lamar and Derrick Henry, and now you got Jalen and Saquon. It'll be very, very, very interesting. See, Carolina picked up, they picked up the 2 guards. Like I said, they picked up Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis. One Hunt from the Dolphins and Lewis from the Seahawks. And they're big. I think, the thing with the line, I'm good with them picking up the line. They don't have any weapons, I don't think, to really help facilitate Bryce Young. Now, again, I was completely wrong when I talked about Young and C.J. Stroud at the beginning of the year. I thought Bryce Young, maybe a little more polished, he'd have a little bit better year, but he didn't. He didn't. But the Giants, you lose Saquon to Philly. Sign Drew Lock. What for? I know he's a backup, but, John Runyon, you lost Xavier McKinney, and then you paid Brian Burns 5 years, $150 million. $87.5 million guaranteed, but once he signs, he's due 76. Now again, I'm not salary hating. Go get your money, Brian. Do you? But the Giants paying $76 million guaranteed? Whew. That's steep if you ask me. That's very, very steep. Now, also being a Washington fan, now I want to tell this story about Washington and Dallas. So, in my time of covering Oklahoma, it was the first game of the year. Oh, what year was it? It was the year Sam Bradford got hurt. Oklahoma played BYU at Jerry World, right? In the first game at Jerry World officially. It was Oklahoma and BYU. A little sip of the bourbon juice. And me, as a Redskin fan at the time, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something devious. I got a package of stickers. Redskin football helmet stickers. The little small stickers about that big. And while I was in the inner bowels of Jerry World, walking around, press, I'm putting stickers everywhere. Pop, pop. We used to do a thing, charity event in Oklahoma with Jason White, Roy Williams. I used to jack with Roy Williams all the time, like, hey, Santana Moss is behind you. He didn't like that joke. But to see the Cowboys on here, nothing. You lose Tyron Smith. He goes to the Jets. Pollard goes to Tennessee. Dante Fowler and Biadasz goes to, and DeOrange Armstrong. You had 3 guys from the Cowboys go over to Washington, right? Neville Gallimore, the former Sooner, went to Miami. And I think, they've done nothing. They've sit back and watched Philadelphia go get some people. Washington kind of spin freely. And I just think what they've done nothing. They just sit there. Giants should have spent a few of those million to get a more complete run. I 100% agree. But as a Washington fan, I'm here to watch them fall. I'm here to watch them crumble. It won't bother me one bit to see them not have a good year. Same with the Cowboys. They can lose every game. Now I know I can go back. I remember the American Express commercial with Tom Landry, and I get it. I'm just not a Cowboy fan. Now, players that are losers. Whew, here we go. Ryan Tannehill. All right. Ryan Tannehill, he was trying to do kind of like a Baker Mayfield, I think. He was trying to bet on himself. See, with so many quarterbacks, being shuffled around, they were trying to figure out, Ryan was like, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to get out. Nope. Only Tennessee. This could spell the end for Ryan Tannehill. I don't know what. To me, I think a very lackluster career. For all the hype around him, just kind of a lackluster career. Now, I did forget about this team down here in the orange, the Broncos. You lost Jerry Jeudy. Hit in the pocket with getting rid of Russell Wilson. And now you put all your hopes on Jarrett Stidham, which, I talk about Jarrett Stidham a lot. If you go back and listen to my podcast in the past, I watched Jarrett Stidham play at high school. He went to Stephenville High School in Texas. And, he went to Baylor. His parents and Art Briles were really close. But when he got to Auburn, my sister and her husband are huge Auburn fans, right? And I told him, I was like, look, man, with Jarrett Stidham, you got a guy who could ball out. And I just don't think they ever really let him go. I think he could have been better from what I saw. Again, people develop differently. I saw him in high school. I saw when he first got to Baylor. I thought he was going to be something special. That's when Baylor was putting up huge numbers. But, of course, everybody in the Big 12 put up huge numbers. But now the Denver Broncos are going to be led by Jarrett Stidham. Is not good. Where in the world is Ryan Tannehill? Maybe Chicago now if Fields gone, or Denver. I think Denver would already pulled the trigger. With Fields gone now, Chicago might be, somewhere to think about. But I don't know. Does this bring Cam Newton back into the fold? People talking about, how Cam said there's 32 teams. There's not 32 guys out there better than me. Okay. Now, I will say this. There may not be 32 guys out there that are better than fighting than Cam, because we just saw what happened. But Tannehill, you lost out. Tony Pollard, when all the running backs started to flood free agency, you lost all your value. Now you go to Tennessee with Tyjae Spears, who's quicker, a better pass catcher. Tony Pollard might be getting phased out. I don't know if he was that great of a back to begin with. And now, like I said, you go to Tennessee, you're there with somebody who is a lot faster than you, and you could be in some trouble, Tony Pollard. So, those are some guys, to really kind of watch out for, and those are my losers, all right? We had the breaking news, Justin Fields being traded. I showed you my winners, showed you my losers, right? Showed you all that. But I want to take time out, again, thank Dano's Seasoning. Are you looking for a low sodium, all natural, no sugar, no chemical seasoning the way it should be? Try Dano's. Started in Kentucky, the all natural seasoning can cover the entire spectrum of food. I love food. Are you looking to grill? Yum, yum. Come and get you some of Dano's with multiple flavors such as original, chipotle, which is my favorite because I like the heat, spicy, crunchy, which is kind of like your everything bagel seasoning, Primo, and for me, that's the best one. If you're a smoker, you're a griller, the Primo is awesome for smoking. You go black garlic, black sea salt, paprika. Now, and some of Daniels like the original, you can use it like salt and pepper. You can shake it on your eggs, make it good, but it goes on fish, beef, pork, chicken, whatever. Like I said, put on your eggs, bring a little more spice into your life. So if you like to eat in the spice of life, head on over to danosseasoning.com and yum, get you some. So we talked about the NFL. Now it's time. I'm going to get into some NCAA tournament. You know, I love it. Another comment. Tony Pollard is a committee back in the show. You are absolutely correct. You've made some great points tonight, man. I appreciate you piping in. But, yeah, Tony Pollard's definitely a big committee back. And I don't think he's the main guy. But I talked about, we're going to do some bracket talk. We're going to do some conference tournament talk because it is the bracket season. I love the bracket season. And I love getting into... There we go. I had an issue with my eye. I apologize for that. We're back now. A little technical issue. You see the bracket. All right, you see the bracket right here. I love March Madness. I tell people all the time, the last episode when I had James Fletcher on, I used to take vacation days, right? I took vacation days when the NCAA tournament started so I could watch college basketball. Madness. And I think the first time I really remember being big into March Madness was the 88 year when Oklahoma, the number one team in the country, Mookie Blaylock, Stacey King, Harvey Grant, Ricky Gray, all those guys, they make it to the finals. They play in the national championship against Kansas. Danny Manning, Danny and the Miracles, 50-50 at halftime. Just like Oklahoma in a lot of title games, couldn't get it done. But from that point on, I was enthralled by the tournament, by the madness. We were cutting out paper. We were, this was before the internet. So you're having to cut out, go to Kinko's, get copies made. You couldn't just download and print at your house like you can now. There's brackets for every business, and it's usually the person who tries to, if some of the people try to, win their brackets, they try to put a lot of thought into it, go down, break. They're the ones who usually suck at the bracket. It's the person who's like, well, they're red and they're green. I like red over green, so I'm going to take them. Who knows? But this year, again, another big basketball tournament. Some of the conference tournaments that are going on right now, some of the finals, they're yet to tip off, so we'll have some of the finals decided tonight. But Purdue, some people think Purdue is going to be the number one overall seed, loses to Wisconsin. Zach Edey had 28 points, 11 rebounds. Wisconsin had 4 players in double digits. Purdue only had Zach Edey. And it makes me nervous heading into the tournament because you remember last year, Purdue losing to Fairleigh Dickinson, being one of the first 16 teams to be the number one. Only 2 have done it. But it just means that, in tournament play, if you can limit everybody else, let Edey do what he does. But if you can have people like that, 4 players in double digits. Now, Wisconsin is always a dangerous team in the tournament. For some reason, the Buckers, the Bucky the Badger, they come in and they always play well in the tournament. AJ Storr, I say watch for him in the tournament. He's one of the big guards for Wisconsin. He's a lot of fun to watch. Illinois, they were down most of the game to Nebraska in the Big Ten championship. The Huskers were up 11 at half, and Illinois ends up winning that game pretty closely. I don't have the score here right next, but I know I was just checking. Tonight in the Big 12 final, Houston versus Iowa State. Calvin Sampson, that number one Houston team, probably going to be seated in, I think, they might get seated in the South because the Final Four, the second weekend is in Dallas. So that'd be big for them. You kind of put them regionally. SEC, Auburn gets off to a slow start. Mississippi State was kind of handling them all around. Now, I also tell people, I used to officiate. And to me, basketball is the hardest game in the world to officiate. Hands down. The quick thinking, the judgment, foul, block, charge, advantage. I love calling football. I love calling baseball. I call basketball 1 year. It's tough. But that was a horribly officiated game. Any Auburn fans out there, if you're watching a game, that was a terribly, and I know Auburn fans are already sensitive about bad referees if you go back to the Final Four, but a terribly officiated game. Losing track of, because like, think back to the beginning, the tip. Mississippi State got the ball, so that means the possession arrow should have went to Auburn. They messed that up. Issuing fouls and it was a horribly officiated basketball game. But Auburn does end up winning. But if you're an Auburn fan, are you excited looking into the tournament with the fact that Auburn had 15 turnovers, which resulted in 16 points? They got out-rebounded 37-29. Mississippi State got 12 second chance points. Are you excited about that? Now, Bruce is going to have his boys ready. If they win the SEC tournament, they'll probably get in a 3 or 4 seed. We all know last time they won the tournament, they were a 4 seed. They made it to the Final Four, right? It'll be interesting. Marquette and UConn, a matchup of two really, really good teams. UConn will probably be the number 1 seed out in the East. I forgot, in the SEC, don't forget, you have Florida versus A&M. The winner of that game will take on Auburn tomorrow for the SEC championship. It's a big deal in that SEC tournament up in Nashville. And, when I was going to kind of break down the bracket, and I haven't put any, this was a blank one. I didn't want to copyright anybody's stuff. We don't know where everybody's going to go yet. Selection Sunday, that's where we'll know where teams are going, who's in, who's out. And a lot of speculation. Like I said, James Fletcher III from On3 Sports, he's a bracketologist. I had him on last week on my podcast. You look at Joe Lenardi from ESPN, those guys that do a really good job of bracketology, going by their predictions, if it goes as it should, or what they're thinking could happen with seedings, places. I mean, North Carolina and North Carolina State play for the ACC title. If North Carolina State wins, you're probably going. That's a team that's going to get knocked out. A team like Oklahoma, very similar records, but Oklahoma's poor performance down the road under Porter Moser, you could be on the out. I think a lot of them had them on like the Final Four in, the first 4 in. I don't know, but I think if North Carolina State wins, that knocks a team completely out, right? But if they go by the Midwest, the regional is going to be in Detroit. Purdue more than likely is going to be your number 1 seed in that, but depending on how they bracket it up, Creighton, if they're there, that's a team to really watch out for. Iowa State, kind of in that Midwest. They could get some fans there. But what Doug McDermott has done with Creighton this year has been absolutely awesome. I love that place. Going to a game at Creighton is a very cool experience. And you heard James Fletcher III, when he was on last week, he thinks Creighton might make it to the Final Four. You never know. Iowa State, they're too streaky for me. And Iowa State always seems to get bumped. Remember when they got bounced by Hampton? Yeah, I don't see it. Dallas, the regional in the South. Houston will probably get the number 1 seed. They're predicting and showing Auburn possibly going to that regional with Illinois and Marquette. That would be a really good, like if you get to the final weekend and you've got Houston, Auburn, Illinois, and Marquette, that's some damn good basketball going on right there. I think you're going to be wildly entertained if that's the way it happens. Now, the one team that may get screwed is North Carolina. I know there's a lot of people out there that really don't care if North Carolina gets screwed, but they'll probably end up heading west because UConn, I think, is going to get the number 1 seed in the East because that's up in Boston. But out in Los Angeles, if North Carolina's the number 1 seed, you probably got Arizona as a 2. Now, a team that I say watch out for is Grand Canyon. There's a lot of predictions that have Grand Canyon going out to the West Regional. Grand Canyon, a lot of players that have had a lot of experience. I also saw some predictions that had Alabama versus Samford out there. And for those who haven't watched any of the Samford basketball team, Bucky McMillan, the head coach, he's a great story, a fantastic story. He used to coach, like I said, I'm here in Birmingham. He coached at Homewood High School and put in an application to be the coach at Samford. And slowly, methodically, now he's got it to where they're one of the best mid-majors, won a tough SoCon conference. If they have that matchup of Alabama versus Samford, I think it's a 4-13. I think that's one of those 13s that actually win, all right? I think that 13 can win. I'm very intrigued. I want to see the matchup. I've seen a couple different ones that say Samford and Auburn, Samford and Kentucky. We'll see. We'll all find that out tomorrow on Selection Sunday. But watch out for Grand Canyon. You know, for the longest time, I thought they were just like an online, like Phoenix University. just crazy stuff out there. But keep an eye out there. The East, again, in Boston, UConn. You got possible opponents in the East. You got South Carolina, Kansas, Tennessee, Duke, Texas Tech. The East could be really daunting. It could be really, really daunting if you go out there and you don't have your stuff together. You don't. Now, the Big 12, well, should, and here's a question I pose out to all you. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on Twitter, I want you to comment, tell me what you think. So the Big 12 should get 9 teams in. Houston, Iowa State, Baylor, Texas, TCU, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, and Kansas. The SEC should get 8. Kentucky, Bama, Auburn, Mississippi State, Tennessee, South Carolina, A&M, and Florida. Now, here's my question. A lot of people hold the Big 12 as being the best basketball conference out there. Now with Oklahoma and Texas coming to the SEC, 2 tournament teams, if they make the tournament, that would give the Big 12 less. Arizona's coming there. But now the SEC would have Texas and Oklahoma. Would that swing that power? We all know SEC is the best conference in football. People talk about, I know Big 10 backers are going to be, the SEC top to bottom is, I think, a lot better than the Big 10. And that's a Big 12 guy. I'm getting ready to be SEC. But with Oklahoma and Texas coming to the SEC, does that make that the best basketball conference out there? And I think it does. I think you go from, the Big 12, and they're going to get Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, Colorado, when that moves around. You still have Kansas, Iowa State. I think when you look at the teams, Texas, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Bama, Auburn, Mississippi State, Tennessee, South Carolina, and some of the best coaches out there. There's some great coaches in the SEC. I love Nate Oates, Bruce Pearl. I mean, there's some great coaches out there. But I think Oklahoma and Texas moving into the SEC, I think that gives the SEC the edge and now becoming the best basketball conference as well. If I'm wrong, let me know. I mean, I appreciate, all the interaction. Again, you can follow me on X at SportsBitesPod1. You can follow me on TikTok at SportsBitesPod. You can see all those socials down there. Subscribe to YouTube. I've got a channel out there where I'm doing some food reviews. I'm doing cooking instructions. I got one on there. Actually, one of my most popular videos was when I smoked a turkey on Thanksgiving. I have an Oklahoma Joe smoker. Showed how I started that thing. I used like a little apple bourbon spritz. Great stuff. You can follow me on Instagram, Sports Bites Podcast as well. I love the interaction. I try to make, if somebody comments, says anything on any of the posts, I try to always interact with everybody. I know there's some people that, it may get overwhelming, whatever. I don't know. I don't know. But for those that are new to the show, this is a segment I like to call, my Give 'em a Sixer, 6 picks. Everybody has a top 5. So when I was calling football, my tagline was Give 'em a Sixer, right? And so I always pick something, my top 6 picks. All right? And so now I got my Give 'em a Sixer, 6 picks, top 6 March Madness moments. Again, because I love the madness. Now I wasn't able to get all the video. I've got the audio clips for it. But I love March Madness. And to me, and there's some that I left out, okay? There's some that I left out. But I love March Madness. And some of these, to me, what's crazy is how recent a lot of these were. But great. We're going to start at number 6. We go back to 2015. Georgia State and Baylor. I think that was a 3-14 matchup.
He misses. Shipes the rebound. Got to push this to the basket. Take it to the basket, guys. 9 seconds. No timeouts left. What are they doing? R.J. Hunter for 3. Good!
R.J. Hunter with the dagger to knock out Baylor. That's my number 6, 2015. Now, I talked about 1988 when Oklahoma and Kansas played in the national championship. that kind of started the love for the March Madness. But this game in 1992 in the Philly Spectrum is what really launched March Madness for me.
A quick timeout so they can get in better shooting range.
There's the pass to Leitner. Puts it up. Yes!
One of the most hated teams in all of college sports history, that Leitner, Bobby Hurley, Duke team, heaves it almost three-quarter court, catches it at the free throw line, little dip, shoulder fake, spin, turn around, jump shot. And that was to go to the Final Four against a really good Kentucky team. Really good Kentucky team. That was 1992 when Christian Leitner hit that shot. And just, you think back to some of those Duke teams, Bobby Hurley, Grant Hill, you go to Ala Abdul Nabi, some of those guys. I mean, just unreal at the talent that they had there. So that's my number 5. My number 4, the reason I like number 4, it was in Oklahoma City. It was in 2016. And anytime Texas loses, it makes me happy. Northern Iowa, known as a giant killer in the tournament, had already taken down Kansas a couple years before that in a close battle with the Texas Longhorns at the Ford Center in Oklahoma City.
Last chance for the Panthers.
And he said he wouldn't take a timeout in this situation.
Jesperson, half-court heave for the win. Jesperson knows it.
Boom.
Iowa wins it.
Anytime Texas loses, it makes me happy.
72.
Just going to say, there was a half-court shot, buzzer beater. You know, and there's some that I'm leaving off. I mean, Bryce Drew with his shot, you know, Tyus Edney running up the whole court. I mean, there's some great moments. You know, you think about, you know, Phi Slam and Jamma with what they've been able to do, you know, what they did. But that's my number 4. Northern Iowa, half-court shot to knock out Texas in 2016. Now, 2016, there was a lot of really good games. Now, the game that really, so that was the year that Oklahoma makes it to the Final Four. It was a great team. Buddy Hield, Ryan Spangler, Isaiah Cousins, Jordan Smallwood. And early in that year, they played Villanova out at Pearl Harbor. They played them in Hawaii, not in the Maui Invitational or anything. They actually played at the naval base. They played in an old hangar, and my good friend Toby Rowland, who does play-by-play for the Sooners, talked about you can still see bullet holes in the building from the Pearl Harbor attack. But in that game, Oklahoma gets out, and they absolutely run roughshod over Villanova. Beat them by 26, I believe they beat them. 26 points. So, again, watching Buddy Hield and that team grow to what they became, I loved it. Loved that team. Heart, drive, hustle, all that. They get to the Final Four. Villanova absolutely claps them. I think Villanova won by 45. They shot for the entire game. I want to say it was 82, 83%. They just couldn't. Diacomo, all those guys. I mean, just Jenkins, ridiculous. Jay Wright, that Villanova team was awesome. I was excited going into that game. And again, it made me think of all the years Oklahoma was in the BCS in the playoffs. You're down by 20 before you know it. So it made it kind of sad for me. But that leads me to my number 3. 2016, a great series of events to end the game. Villanova, North Carolina for the national championship.
It's Barry, who had the hot hand from 3 in the first half. They're going to have to do something from the outside now. It's Page off balance. Puts it up. Impossible. How did he do that? Ties the game with 4.7. They go length of the court with Archie Diacono. 3 seconds at midcourt. Jenkins gives it to Jenkins for the championship.
I know a lot of people will probably say, why isn't that higher? It's the only buzzer-beating national championship shot. But when I tell you who I have number 1, you'll hopefully understand. But again, you can comment, let me know wherever you're watching this at. Share it, like it, follow, subscribe, all the social stuff. That's my number 3. Villanova beats North Carolina. And you guard the inbound guy. He came up the court. Jenkins was the inbound guy. Comes up the court. Looked like Sam Perkins back in the day. The old set shot three-pointer. Buckets. To win the national championship. And you saw Raleigh Massimino in the crowd. Of course, he was there when Villanova beat that loaded Georgetown team. Speaking of Georgetown, 1982, the birth of Air Jordan. As a freshman, think about some of the guys in this game. Sam Perkins, James Worthy, Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, Sleepy Floyd. Fantastic. Now, if you can answer in the chat who led this game scoring, that lets me know you're either old or you're quick on Google. But a great game. Jordan, the birth of Air Jordan.
Gordy to Black. The time, 18. Shot, Jordan, Michael Jordan. 14 seconds. Brown. Look for Sleepy Floyd. Oh, he threw it to the wrong man. He threw it to Worthy. It's over. It's over.
The Georgetown guy throws it right to James Worthy, and it's over. It's done. But to me, as a freshman, Jordan gets it done. Now, Jordan and Sam Perkins combined only had 16 points in that game. James Worthy had 28. 28 points. Led the way. Ewing had 23. Sleepy Floyd had 18. That was 1982. So again, to recap, number 6, might give him a 6 or 6 picks, top 6 March Madness moments. Number 6, Georgia State beats Baylor, R.J. Hunter's dagger. Number 5, the classic Leitner at the Spectrum. Duke beats Kentucky, 1992. Number 4, 2016 Northern Iowa, half-court buzzer beater over Texas. Anytime Texas loses them there. Number 3, Villanova with the buzzer beater to win the national championship. Right? Great stuff. Love that there. Number 2, Jordan sinks the shot to beat Georgetown in 1982. Now, for my number one, I know a lot of people probably say, why'd you do this?
We saw was close. This has been just total destruction.
Look at this. Exclamation.
Superlatives, you can't come up with enough. Absolute. Incredible performance.
Shock and awe in college basketball. UMBC makes history in Charlotte.
UMBC, the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, the Retrievers, the first 16 seed to beat a number 1. That, for me, that's my top March Madness moment. Because it had never been done. It had gotten close. Oklahoma flirted with it. I mean, there's some numerous number 1 seeds that flirted with losing, but none of them ever did. None of them ever did. Until the Retrievers from University of Maryland, Baltimore County got it done. Absolutely gets it done. And I was just like, man, I couldn't believe it. And then now you got Purdue. They lost to Fairleigh Dickinson, so that's another loss of a number 1 seed out there. But, yeah, crazy, crazy stuff. Like I mentioned in this show, Sports Bites. Talk about sports. I talk about food. Also, with it being a kind of a short podcast, because I don't usually do these long 2-hour ones. And, I might start doing some lives a little bit longer. But I love a bite-size podcast. I got people I know that listen when I do updates and stuff like that. They love to hear the scores, but it's good stuff. So be sure you follow, like, subscribe. Also follow the College Football Dogs. We got Dog TV coming out soon. It's going to be streaming all the podcasts that are out there. And again, if there's a specific conference that you're a fan of, the College Football Dogs has you covered. Are you a Big Ten supporter? Big Ten backers, they're for you. All right? Golden Boot, more your SEC. Still some, they'll talk about everything. Now, if you ever see Hunter and those guys, it's all about West Coast for them. USC, fight on. I'm sorry, I had to say it. Lincoln Riley just makes me upset. But now, the Sports Bites part of it. I talk about food. I talk about sports. Right? Now, I'm going to tell you the best places to eat if you're going to the Final Four. All right? And it's right there at the stadium. You see it. State Farm Stadium. Home of the Arizona Cardinals. Really good food. I know a lot of people when they go there, they're going to talk about In-N-Out Burger. Now again, if you know how to order In-N-Out, you're good. Double Munster style, get your fries, animal, whatever. Do what makes you happy. But I love the simplicity of the In-N-Out Burger. The menu's not complicated. You got a single, double, triple, whatever. All right? But if you're going to go there, you're looking for places to eat while you're in the stadium, especially there for the Final Four. You're going to be there a while. Now, of course, they have your classic food all over the place. Now, I was there when Oklahoma played Connecticut for the Fiesta Bowl, and it was weird because it was January and there was no heat. They have AC but no heat, so it's still kind of cool in there. But your classic stadium foods: hot dogs, popcorn, chicken wings, chicken tenders, pretzels. I love a big pretzel. All right, love a big pretzel. Beers, sodas, more throughout the concession stands, all through the concourse at State Farm Stadium. Now, 4th and long may not be for everybody. Classic 22-inch hot dog with all your favorite condiments. Can't do it. No way in public should you eat a 22-inch hot dog. I'm just going to say it. Now, some of the more new foods that you could get there. Senor Chilada. Tacos, burritos, nachos, all more with the signature drink, the Senor Chilada Cup. I'd probably have to go there. The Gridiron Grill, guys, if you're looking for the ultimate treat, that includes burgers, hot dogs, brats. I love a brat with some mustard, some spicy mustard on it. All good stuff out there. The Gridiron Burger Challenge they have. It's a huge burger. You can go out there and check them out. Also, they have what's called Taco Dia. Signature quesadilla with your choice of protein, sour cream, guac, more. That's out there in section 134. The dry fried chicken. Chicken legs, fries, cheese, jalapenos. Good stuff out there. Protein boxes. Now, I know there's people out there trying to be healthy. Meat, cheese, peanut butter, more. Who the hell's going to a game to have a protein box? I know there's some people out. There's other things you can do. But the one that I don't get, any of you West Coast people, if you're out there, when I was talking about Husky Stadium earlier in the year, they had a place that does salads. Who's getting a salad at a game? You can get it here. Touchdown Tossers. Salad in a jar with a wide range of flavors. No. It's like Sue Salad on Parks and Rec. Nobody cares, Sue. Nobody's going to a game to get a salad. I've never been to a football game, a basketball, a hockey game. Yeah, I'll take a frisee salad. That's not game food. It's a West Coast thing. I promise you, it's not anywhere in the Midwest. It's not in the South. I've only seen it in 2 places now. Both of them have been West Coast. Salads at games. What are you thinking? That's as bad as eating a 22-inch hot dog in front of everybody. You shouldn't do it. I don't approve. I do not approve. Now, desserts. If you want desserts, churro donut sundae. A waffle cone with generous amounts of vanilla ice cream, hot fudge, sauce, strawberries. Come at me. Doc's Artisan Gelato and Sorbet. I like a good sorbet. I like a good gelato. Again, depending on the time of year. I grew up, you got the old helmets with the ice cream and the nachos in it. That's what I liked. That's what I really enjoyed. But again, guys, if you're heading out to Arizona for the Final Four, that's what you could do to eat. And again, stay tuned in. I give suggestions all the time. We got a lot of Oklahoma fans that are listening with the journey to the SEC. There's going to be a lot of places you've never been. There's going to be a lot of times you're going to be like, what's to eat? The tailgating in the South, it's different. Y'all better be ready. It's different. I laugh when y'all joke and say, "Oh, it just means more." It does just mean more. It does. Tell you what also means more is the sponsors here at the Dog Media Network. Bones Coffee. I don't know about you, but I've got to have coffee in the morning. I've got to have coffee. And with countless bags of beans for you to have your coffee fix, it's time to try a small batch, full-bodied coffee infused with the most mind-melting flavors from around the world. Bones Coffee's mad scientists have twisted nature to their demented wills with frightfully delicious flavors like From Dusk Till Donuts, a jelly donut-inspired coffee, Mint Invaders, if you like mint ice cream, also Electric Unicorn, if you like a fruity cereal. That's just to name a few. Flavors that make the cut are made into small batches and roasted to order. All right, you got to like that. Roasted to order. They're not just sitting there. Roasted to order and sent directly to you. And I know what you're saying. I don't like, flavored coffee. Well, no bones about it. Bones still has you covered. They've got regular coffees. Don't drink hot bean water, but you get your single origin. If you like Ecuadorian coffee, stuff like that, Bones Coffee has you taken care of. And the Bones Coffee, Vandy, there he is. What's up, Vandy? Don't forget to mention the beautiful Bones Coffee lady. I love her. But they're good stuff, man. But yeah, also join the coffee club at bonescoffee.com, and you can get any flavor you want shipped to you. But yeah, don't just get nasty hot bean water. Now, this is something I'm excited to share with you guys, all right? It is close to, as we wrap the show up, I was only going to do an hour this time, just because it's the first time going live. But with St. Patrick's Day coming up tomorrow, it always brings me to remember a local news spot. It's kind of Ron Burgundy-esque, but it actually was on the news. And it happened here in Alabama. If you know, you know.
Well, just in time for St. Patrick's Day, crowds are coming by the dozens to get an up-close view at what some say is a piece of Irish folklore.
Some people in the Crichton area of Mobile say a leprechaun is taking up residence in their neighborhood. A leprechaun. NBC 15's Brian Johnson has more.
Curiosity leads to large crowds in Mobile's Crichton community. Many of you bring binoculars, camcorders, even camera phones to take pictures.
To me, it look like a leprechaun to me. I gotta do look up in the tree. Who else in the leprechaun say yeah?
Yeah! Eyewitnesses say the leprechaun only comes out at night. If you shine a light in its direction, it suddenly disappears. This amateur sketch resembles what many of you say the leprechaun looks like. Others find it hard to believe and have come up with their own theories and explanations for the image.
My theory is it's casting a shadow from the other limb.
Could be a crackhead.
Could be a
or got on to
crackhead.
the wrong stuff. And it told me to get up in a tree and play a leprechaun.
We're going to get down to the bottom of this. Yeah, it's still on there, guy. Don't be afraid.
Now, once you look, I said dead end.
This guy helping to direct traffic says he's prepared for his encounter with the leprechaun. He's suited up from head to toe.
This water's all smells right here. This is a special leprechaun flute, which has been passed down from thousands of years ago from my great-great-grandfather who's Irish. I just came to help out.
Others just came to get lucky in hopes a pot of gold may be buried under this tree.
I'm gonna run a backhoe and uproot that tree. I wanna know where the gold at. I want to go. Give me the gold. I want to go.
This is Brian Johnson, NBC 15 News.
I can't. Every year around St. Patrick's Day, I've got to think about that video. Anybody else want a leprechaun? Say, yeah. They were having a good time. Now, Key and Peele did a spoof on that, a not-so-affluent neighborhood seeing a Pegasus. So, crazy. Let's see. Goodfellas, but okay. I'll see any food recommendations. I'm all about. If you're coming to Lexington, there you go. Lexington, Goodfellas Pizza, Blue Door Barbecue, fried chicken, okay. Wings, Indy Sports Bar and Grill, KS Bar and Grill, heavy UK spot, Winchell's. I've been to I know about Winchell's. Bad Wolf Burgers. Okay, see, and I'm good for a burger. The Burger Republic in Nashville. I love Burger Republic in Nashville. He wanted the gold. That's right. He wants the gold. He wants the gold, Vandy Chris. That's what he says. He wants the gold. But yeah, go back to that, man. All y'all out there, and I'm glad it's going to be on there. You can look. Any Oklahoma people, you coming to Kentucky this year for basketball, which we'll probably end up in Rupp this year. It'll be interesting to see with baseball and softball how that ends up. And anybody traveling, or if you're just in Lexington looking for a great spot to eat right there, Goodfellas. You got to love good pizza. You got to love good pizza. My wife makes a white sauce garlic pizza. It's phenomenal. Wings, and look, I may get some hate for this, okay? I'm not a huge wings person. To me, it's a lot of work, right? It's a lot of work for not a lot of meat. And don't get me started on boneless wings. Don't, because they're not wings. They're freaking nuggets. Be an adult. Just say you like nuggets. There's nothing wrong with liking nuggets. Don't try to adult it up and say, oh, I like boneless wings. No, you don't. You like nuggets. And there's nothing wrong with it. I like nuggets. I'll go to Chick-fil-A and get some nuggets. But don't, oh, I got boneless wings. No, you got adult nuggets with sauce. That's what you like. Get your nuggets. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But I'm not a huge wing person. I'll tell you who has some good wings, because now they're getting expensive wherever you go. Like me and my wife went to the B place. I don't want to talk too bad about them on air, but just her and I. Some wings, some beers, and fries. It was like $90. No, thank you. You know who's got some damn good wings? If you live in the South, you got to go to Publix. Publix wings are actually pretty good. The Mardi Gras season, you know, you can get the bait. It don't matter. All right, here we go. More food record. I love it. Vanderbilt. If you're heading to Nashville, Frank Lassie, Mama D's Southern Fusion, Betty's Parkway Restaurant. Okay. You can't leave out Hattie B's. Yeah, Hattie B. Now, when we went there, so Vandy, it's funny you bring that up. So, my wife and I met during CrossFit, working out, stuff like that, and the CrossFit regionals were in Nashville like 2 years in a row, and we want to go. So we went to Perry's Steakhouse, which was phenomenal. You know, a little bit of a drive, but one of the best old fashions I've ever had. Great food. They did a baked Alaska. I mean, it's just so good. Great Burger Republic. But the place I love was the Nashville Biscuit Company. I think that was the name. Like, and the waitresses can like talk smack to you. I'm like Ron Swanson. I like breakfast. I can eat breakfast anytime. Give me some sausage, gravy, some biscuits. I'm in. Bacon, yeah. Eggs, I can eat eggs whenever. It doesn't bother me. I like it. Guys, keep these comments coming. Go over to the pages, comment, share, like, subscribe, do everything. For those of you who participate tonight, I want to say thank you. This was my first live on the Dawgs Network, Dawgs Media Network. Again, keep an eye out. Dogs are coming. And it's like, you know, can't run with the big dogs, stay on the porch. There's a whole new pack of dogs coming. Guys that like football. And this organization is for the fans, by the fans. And I love the Nashville Biscuit House. That's it. Yeah. Vandy Chris. Absolutely. The Nashville Biscuit House. Me and my wife went there, and I damn near licked the plate. One, because I was scared the waitress was going to say something. But two, it was that good. I loved the Nashville Biscuit House. And then we went and watched people work out for time to win prize money. I was, just roll me to the hotel room. I'm good to go. But guys, this was the first live. There's going to be many more to come. I'm going to start having guys on from the other podcasts in the network. You might see me on other podcasts in the network. It's a great community. The people who have, when I watch some of the other podcasts, the people who communicate with them, I've seen some of them come in today, like Jacques. Thank you for coming in. Vandy, if you want to watch the Golden Boot Network, Vandy's on that. Check him out. Great shows, great people, and I really enjoy. It's a passion for mine. It's to talk sports, and I thought that I had lost that when I was let go from the radio station I was at. And again, no hard feelings. Business is business. They made a business decision, and it gave me an opportunity to come to Alabama, and I met my wife, and I'm extremely thankful for meeting my wife. I wouldn't change it for the world. But there was something missing, and it was talking sports, interacting with people. As a fan, it was hard sometimes to sit in the press box at games and not be a fan. I mean, I was in the press box when Samaje Perine broke the all-time rushing record against Kansas. Now, 110,000 people are going to say they were at the game. There wasn't. It was a cold, rainy day. It's terrible. But I love being a part of it. And I love the interaction. I loved a caller-based show. Include people that are listening to you. Now, I don't want to be anything like Feinbaum to where you get some crazy asses in there. Phyllis from Mulga, God rest her soul. Some of those guys. Now they just want to fight and argue. I still want to talk. It's like a barbershop. But we're going to have fun. Like we're all gathered around the grill. That's why I say come cook with Chris. All right? We're going to talk food. We're going to talk sports. I'm going to have a little bourbon. Enjoy the conference tournament. I will probably do a show and put it up talking about the brackets earlier in the week. But again, you can get the podcast on any of the major platforms. I'm out there. I'm on YouTube. You see all the socials right here. Give it a follow. I like to interact with everybody, man. Again, thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for listening. For those who hopped on to watch, I want to say thank you for taking your time to listen to this guy talk about sports and food and crazy stuff like leprechauns down in Mobile, Alabama. Until next time, guys, stay good and remember to always positively move forward.
Joining us on this delicious journey through the world of sports and food on Sports Bites with your host, Chris Joseph. We hope you've enjoyed the game day stories and culinary adventures. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you've got any mouth-watering sports-related tales or favorite game day recipes, share them with us on social media. Until next time, remember, it's not just about the game. It's about the bites that make it unforgettable. Stay hungry for more Sports Bites.